in the Gulf, a world in crisis, and only 3 National News can give you the full story. 3 National News continues to give you extensive reports on the crisis from our own news teams, combining with the massive resources of NBC and ABC in America, Britain's BBC and the 7 Network and ABC in Australia. Turn to 3 National News. We've got it covered.
The opera isn't over until the fat lady sings, as the saying goes, but we know what song she's going to sing.
It kind of pisses me off because the guy woke me up in the middle of the night, so now I want to make somebody pay for that.
The shortest way home is through Baghdad, so it looks like that's going to be the shortest way home.
Good evening. The world is watching Tel Aviv tonight for signs Israel has had enough and will now enter the Gulf War. After a night of false alarms, 3 bombs fell on a residential section of the capital, causing severe damage and minor injuries to 16 civilians. Although they weren't the feared chemical weapons, one of the warheads has failed to explode and a large area is now sealed off. The Israeli cabinet is now holding a council of war, but word on possible retaliation is not expected before the end of the Jewish Sabbath. That's in about 4 hours.
This was Tel Aviv at dawn. A pall of smoke rose from one location that had obviously been hit by an Iraqi missile. The latest news is that 4 locations have been hit. There are no reports of casualties, but we understand that chemical warheads have not been involved. One missile apparently hit a petrol station. A figure of 8 missiles is being talked about here, and damage is said to be considerable. It is Shabbat, the Jewish holy day today, and although families here are now well prepared for attack, the picture of placing gas masks on children and preparing for possible chemical warfare is instilling a chilling fear amongst everyone here. This was the damage caused yesterday when 8 missiles hit residential property in Tel Aviv and a factory in Haifa. All the indications are that this morning's attacks have been much more extensive.
Shortly after today's attack, NBC's Tom Brokaw was on the phone to an Israeli cabinet minister in Tel Aviv, asking him about possible retaliation.
I'll tell you, a number of casualties is always a factor, Tom, but I don't think that it's the only factor, and the damage caused is another factor, and I don't know precisely, but it appears that the damage has been this time much greater than the day before. And on top of everything is, of course, the expectation for what may be the next step. Listen, this has been now for 2 nights. In last night we have been alerted 3 times by sirens. It is the whole population of Israel. Who guarantees us that the next missile will not land on a residential building with hundreds of families and will cause a great damage? How much longer can we wait? Is it justified at all to expect Israel to absorb all this without responding?
And what effect do you think it will have on Operation Desert Storm, which is going on right next door to you, and the effectiveness of the American military forces there, Minister Olmert?
Tom, I really think that America will have to address itself to this problem, and my judgment is that perhaps instead of leaning on us, trying to tell us why not to act, why not trying to explain to some of the allies, if indeed they are allies, why is it inevitable that Israel has to act?
Yeah, I think at this point, Minister Olmert, that almost everyone understands that you will act and that you have absolute justification for it. Another question is, however, what can you hit that the United States is not already hitting?
Those in the military establishment in America who have to take a decision will probably know precisely what we have in mind. I'm afraid, Tom, that I can't share it with you for obvious reasons.
Yeah, and sooner rather than later, Minister Olmert?
I believe so.
At the President's weekend retreat, Camp David, Mr. Bush was woken early with news of the new Iraqi attack. After the first air raid, the President successfully persuaded the Israelis to hold their fire, but White House sources say even he believes he won't have much luck a second time.
After telephoning Israel's Prime Minister Shamir, President Bush went to the Pentagon for the latest on what both Iraq and Israel were up to. Bush had tried to cajole the Israelis by praising them for their restraint so far and by promising stepped-up air attacks against Iraqi missile launchers.
I think that they know of our determination to safeguard them following this attack or prior to this attack. And we are going to be redoubling our efforts in the darndest search and destroy effort that's ever been undertaken in that out in that area. And I hope that that is very reassuring to the citizens of Israel. Yeah.
But the president admitted he could not yet guarantee total success to Prime Minister Shamir.
Well, the problem, John, on that is we can tell him with confidence what we've done in terms of some of the missile sites, but not all, because you're dealing with mobile missiles that can be hidden.